Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Daft Souls podcast, a brand new games podcast with me, Matt Lees, joined by a veritable selection of the best people in the UK games media scene. Today, however, I'm joined by not fuck you! Wow! I'm joined tonight by Gavin Murphy.
Unfortunately, none of those people could arrive. So we have Gav Murphy.
I couldn't make it. It's terrible. And Quinton Smith.
Hello!
But yeah, we're going to mix it up every week. We've also got on the roster the amazing John Blythe, the inimitable Stephen Hoggerty, and Joe Screbbles, who you probably haven't heard of, but he's bloody brilliant. And yes. So anyway, without further ado, it's a new games podcast. It's going to be about an hour long. It's going to be out once every 2 weeks. And yeah, what have you guys been playing?
What have you been playing, Gav?
Today,
this is a safe space. You can tell us anything.
I've been going back through Tearaway again for like the third time because I just fucking love that game. Like the Vita, I really fell in love with my Vita. Like it was like I got it bought. I didn't even know I was getting it bought for me. Like my mum and my sister were like, "Oh, he hasn't got a Vita. Let's buy him one." And bought me one. So on Christmas Day, I was like the Nintendo 64 kid, like on YouTube. I was just like, what? Why have you bought me?
I was
this?
really
Thank
weighing
you so
up a
much.
Vita, but I kind of felt like I was on the verge, in that moment of, you know, really on the verge of infidelity and being, I'm just going to get a Vita.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, before I went off with this sexy little model, I realised how much I loved my 3DS. And I just started playing Bravely Default.
Yeah,
and because it's a
it was
JRPG,
really good.
I haven't finished it, and I
Yeah.
probably never will. So I'll never get a Vita.
Yeah, you should. Like SteamWorld Dig has just come on it, but in fairness, if you've got 3DS, you can get SteamWorld Dig on 3DS as well.
What you
but-
can't get on 3DS is Gravity Rush, and
Yes.
there's a hell of a thing.
And that's free as well, because it's part of the PlayStation Plus thing is fucking ridiculous as well. If you've got PlayStation Plus, you pretty much don't need to buy games for the Vita.
I'm
Or
going to start
PSP,
doing that
really.
because I don't really get games for free anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, privilege. But obviously, you know, I did used to get a lot of games for free, and now I don't really anymore. Mainly because I don't really bother contacting PRs. It's a lot of admin, basically. If you're just one person to be emailing people all the time.
Can I have this game?
Oh, especially because then they'll say, "Well, can you write about this game?" And I'll go, "Nah, it looks really boring." My relationships with them isn't going to last very long, so I just can't be bothered maintaining them.
You're living free now, though. You can buy whatever you want.
I can, and I can spend my time doing whatever I want, largely, as long as I'm making something.
But
for
not
God's
sake.
sake.
Gravity Rush on the Vita. You can't
you
do
can't
that.
do that.
Not allowed.
No,
Have you had a play with it? You're aware of the sort of basics, how you point the Vita.
Have you had a go on it? Because I hadn't really had a go on it until I got given one. I got one.
I think I had a hold of the original Vita.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't get the
when it
new one.
first
Get
came
the
out.
original. Get the original. Don't get the new one.
Yeah, we see. I want to buy one of the original ones. I'm waiting for that sweet spot because I did it wrong with the PSP.
Right.
I remember like getting the PSP 3000 version. And it wasn't as good. I think it was called that. They gave it a stupid name.
The Andre 3000 sponsored one. Picture of him every time it like opened up.
So are you trying to do the sort of like the door is closing and you slide under it at the last possible second when everything's cheap but still exciting?
Yeah, I mean it's like the Dreamcast strategy, isn't it? I'll probably do that with the Wii U at some point as well. Just Dreamcast it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I bought a Wii U for Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate.
Yeah.
It's my Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate box, and I don't regret it. £250 for that game alone, and I'm
I do
fine
love
with
that game. I played it a lot on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I could have just bought it on the 3DS, but I
It's not as
kind of
good. It's not as
fiddly.
good.
No, you need to see how bad those textures are on a big screen. It's really very important.
it's just fiddly to play as well, though. I mean,
It's not fiddly, it's not fiddly.
no, it is on the 3DS.
Oh, right, yeah,
Because you
okay.
don't have two dual analog sticks. And I did buy the Circle Pad Pro.
It's the most ugly thing I've ever seen.
It's
in my
horrible.
Life. Yeah.
What's this?
Circle
The
Pad
Circle
Pro
Pad
is
Pro.
like a giant bit of plastic that adds a second analog stick to a 3DS.
No, why would you do... That's like...
You're not familiar with it?
It's like
Foul.
it's like giving it. That sounds like giving your child braces or something.
It is.
This is good for you, but no.
I mean, the original
horrible.
3DS is already quite ugly, so it doesn't make it... No, it does. It makes
I've got,
it
the thing is,
dramatically ugly.
I've got an XL and I've got the Circle Pad Pro XL as well, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. Because like, oh, we're going to release a 3DS XL. Oh, you must be putting a second analog stick. No, I'm not going to bother. But we have got this giant bit of plastic you can stick at the end. That adds a
How
second
does that
one.
even fit in your bag?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's mad.
Because like the 3DS XL is like a weird bit of gear. I
Yeah.
love mine.
It's almost pocket size, but not really.
It won't fit in your
size.
pocket, but
If
it's
it's all right, I've got
lovely.
big pockets.
It's the
really
size
nice
of a
to
book
hold.
or an e-book reader. So
Yeah.
if you carry books around like I do, then it's fine. 'Cause
Nerd.
You're no. You're
You reads books.
I'm not a nerd. I just carry books and a 3DS in a satchel with me. I'll have
To be honest, half the time Quentin looks like he's about to rob a bank or on the way back from robbing a bank whenever I see him. Because he just turns up like... Because obviously, like, for those of you who don't know, Quentin's runs a website called Shut Up and Sit Down that I also work with. And a lot of time we meet up, he arrives with a big bag of board games for us all to check out and review.
Now, the people who've played GTA 5 will be aware that when you do heist missions, you have these big black gym duffel bags.
Yeah.
That's what I own. I own one of those, and it's full of
Please
board
say it's
games.
GTA branded as well.
It's not. It's entirely dark, and you think it does actually look. It feels cool to walk around London with that because it's big and it's heavy.
You do look dangerous because it's full as well. It comes with this big bag of like, it's clearly got weight to it. You're like, what's he got in
and
there?
you open it, it's full of plastic goblins.
Yeah, my beard's too big that I don't think I'd be allowed on the tube with that
you
bag,
get-
to be honest. That's it.
Random search at Brixton. Yeah, surprise.
But yeah, see, I went back to SteamWorld Dig as well, which took
That's a good game.
That's a great game.
It took over my life on 3DS, and then I got sent a code for it for Vita, and I was like, I'm not going to download that. Downloaded it instantly, started playing it instantly. Now I'm back into that.
It's funny because it's so easy. Like it's a weird one because I'm so used to platformers sort of like they're harder and it's slow. SteamWorld sort of goes, no, I've got this content and you're going to go through it pretty fast and you're going to finish me in 5 hours and you're going to have a great time. And that's refreshing.
Yeah.
I played through it on PC and I enjoyed it, but I did kind of feel like when I realised it was also either available or going to be available on every handheld device under the sun, I was like, I wish I'd got this on a handheld. Because it's definitely a lovely handheld game. It's just pottering around, breaking bricks, collecting gems.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's I mean, talking about like I've had a week this week in work where like it's, people don't know me, I work for CBG, and we were almost going to do this thing. So Metal Gear Ground Zeroes obviously came out this week, and I was going to make it this fucking ridiculous thing about the length of it. Oh, you complete it in 10 minutes. All this different shit, which is it's just as an industry.
I can finish a wank in a minute.
Yeah.
It's not good.
As an industry, I think
But I don't pay for it. That's a bad analogy. Carry on.
We've embarrassed ourselves this week, I think. It's just the amount of people just going, oh, this is our speed run, we've done it in 18 minutes. Fuck off.
The games industry embarrasses itself every week. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's true, yeah.
It's really annoying this week because at one point we did have the idea where we were just like, oh, when we record the CVG podcast, we're going to try and let's see if we can speed run it during the podcast. Then today we were just like,
great listening, wouldn't it?
and then today we were just like, because we were going to release this video as well, but then we just thought, no, like that's not what the game is about. Like, all right, yeah, you might be able to do the main part of it, but I don't know, if you're the kind of arsehole who's just like, oh, I'll finish the main bit in 10 minute, you're an arsehole.
Well, I didn't want to spoil the surprise, but since we started recording the podcast, I have actually just finished a speedrun of Metal Gear Ground Zeroes. I thought I did really well to keep talking whilst doing it.
What do you think about like sort of like length and stuff like that of games? Like, because I was arguing with someone who reviewed it, and they were like, well, we're sort of buyer's guide doing reviews and stuff. I was like, are you?
Well,
like...
I mean, this is the whole thing with reviews. Oh, God, yeah.
First episode, guys.
Let's define our entire careers before we move on. Yeah, it's weird because I do... Yeah, when I was reviewing games for 10 years, I felt like I was a buyer's guide. And I tell you what, when you ever work for a publication, or like Shut Up and Sit Down, the website, that I run, it feels really good to not have to do that. It feels like the true correct path to judge a game on its own merits and sort of just what it's trying to do as opposed to what your audience expect, which is a nebulous thing that you don't really know anyway. It's like, and the games industry doesn't move forward as well if you're always assuming that your audience is a FIFA fan or whatever, I think.
It's difficult. It depends what publication you're writing for a lot of time, I think. I mean, I guess now with the freedom I've got, I kind of try and review stuff a lot more critically and don't really think so much of buyer's guide. And that's why a lot of time, especially because I can't be asked with review events because they're fucking bollocks. Just being like, hey,
we're going to lock you in a room for 2 days
like,
and you're going to have no idea whether the game was good.
I've said this many times, but the worst example it's ever was when I was at OXM and had to review Prototype 2, and they said, well, the publisher was super concerned about somebody stealing the code because obviously, Prototype 2, really big deal.
Someone was going to, rob the...
Yeah. Which is like,
to be fair, I did try and do that, but the everything they put in place made it impossible. Like, what did they put in place?
I mean, with this, they basically said that they were really concerned about the code being on its own because they didn't want it to get leaked out to the internet and stuff.
Because it's underage. They didn't trust you to not stick a finger through the disc.
It's fine, Gav. It's not wrong. It's just plastic. But no, they actually sent God, I felt really sorry. They sent somebody from their PR agency to come, and they were like, somebody on work experience at that PR agency. Basically, they sent somebody from the PR agency to sit in our office for 2 days while I reviewed it.
You're kidding.
I can't think of anything worse
So this
than
poor
watching
girl-
me play a game.
she wasn't watching
I'm
me.
so shit at playing games as well. If someone had to sit and watch it, it'd just be like, this is your job? You're meant to be good at this as a job.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like, she wasn't even sitting in the room with me. She just sat next door on a BlackBerry all day. So I could have been in there doing
Stealing
anything.
the game. You could have been making copies of the DVD.
You know, in John Carpenter's The Thing, when that guy's in the shed outside and they don't know what he's doing, and then they come back and they discover he's like underground making a UFO. I could have been doing that. She wouldn't have known. But it meant that I had to review the game in 2 days, because after the 2 days, she was going to have to take the disc back. And I'll tell you what, Prototype 2 is not a game that you want to
Probably
binge.
on 2 days.
Well, I did. I played it solidly for 2 days, and I came away thinking, this
You're not
is
really
going to
get the most out of that, are you?
I didn't. And I got the impression, actually, as I was writing the review, that I'm like, maybe this would have been more fun if I just played it for an hour here and there over a period of a month or something, or a period of a week at least. But it's like, well, it's not my problem, because they chose the criteria for the event.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and when you're given a game in those like tight windows, then you always assume it's better than it is, as opposed to assuming it's worse than it is.
yeah, that's the thing. It's easy to be like, well, maybe it would be more fun, but in the end, I was like, no, this is the setup. This is how I've reviewed it. This was how the people who made the game chose to have it being like observed and being experienced. So in my mind, it's like, if you don't get the review right, it's on the publisher's head.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
You know, they choose the parameters. So if they fuck that up, it's on them.
Just on the subject, though, my favourite copy protection ever, I'm sure you guys would have seen this working on magazines, but the Chastity GameCubes back in the day, I don't know if they're still doing this, but these were with the GameCubes which had the review copy in the GameCube, and you were sent the GameCube, right?
This one happens with 3DS
Stuff
review
now.
code. Yeah,
Well,
so-
the GameCubes in question had steel bars welded around them so that you couldn't open the disc tray. So it was like a bird cage with a GameCube inside that had been welded shut, but with holes so that you can stick the wires in.
This is like a dev kit, but the obviously the review code is like welded into this sort of
the
metal
3DS,
thing, which
God,
is like a
that's-
chastity.
That
bar,
is like
yeah.
a boss in Dark Souls. Something, so you've been welded into some part of it. Poor 3DS.
Yeah,
That's pretty sad.
its only job is to play that one game and then probably burned.
Yeah, what happens to that 3DS?
Should we take the metal off? No, just put it in the furnace for the rest.
I'd like to think it's just a room as well. Just like, we're in the room with the rest. It's like
That's why the 3DS sales are so strong. Nintendo are buying them all and burning them.
Well, this is the I don't know if
This is a genuine theory.
I don't know if Daft Souls is the place for rumour and speculation. However, I have heard that certain game publishers will temporarily lose certain shipments of certain games consoles to artificially inflate the number of sales figures. Because so long as those copies leave circulation temporarily, they vanish into the network.
it's like The Wire.
When I say this is a rumor, this is confirmed in my mind.
I mean, I actually, this is kind of off the topics of games, but I spoke to somebody recently who basically said that somebody I know, a prominent pop star, had agreed to do a deal for a big advert and do this thing, and in return, the company would obviously pay them, but they would also buy about 100,000 copies of their album.
Yeah.
And so literally and it means then their album is number one in the charts. And those are, God knows what happens with 100,000 copies.
I thought you could just buy charts. I thought that was...
Well, that is how it works. It basically
Can
goes,
you buy 100,000? Can you just buy it on Amazon or something like that?
Well, no,
Just,
I think-
pressing the plus button
over and
loads.
over mechanical
I
target.
guess, I don't know, I wonder if it's very much a case of them going, oh, we'll ship them over to you, tap the nose.
Okay, right.
I don't know, but it's enough. They physically count as sales. So it means often when you see the number one best-selling album, a lot of the time, it might not mean shit. But I found that fascinating, that it was literally like that brazen of being like, yeah, we'll help you out if you make our album number one. And usually be like, well, there's no way we can do that. It's like, well, you could buy 100,000 copies. So yeah, the world's bent. But we were talking about reviews or something, but it's, I mean, what can you do? I mean, with Ground Zeroes, I'm in two minds, because part of me thinks, it's almost like the games media now have got into a weird backwards thing where instead of having the comment they want and then experiencing the backlash, there are now games media trying to work out the backlash that is going
Preemptively.
to exist to games media reactions, and then jumping on that bandwagon and creating the backlash against themselves. It's weird.
It's like insider trading for backlash.
It is. It's like you play a game and you know why fans are going to be
I'm going
angry.
to be pissed off about it, yeah.
Or even sometimes you create that.
We were just
No, that's the thing. I was arguing with someone who, like, a couple of people who'd reviewed it, because obviously, like, you know, at Future Publishing, we are in an amazing position where, you know, we can have, like, I can know 6 people for six publications who have reviewed something, so you can speak to them and stuff before. But arguing with someone who, one, is just like, you're going to get like a good 12 hours out of it. It's completely worth it. It's a brilliant game. Then arguing with someone who's just like, no, too short. Like, if I paid like 30 quid for this, I'd be pissed off.
Is it £30?
Apparently, yeah. But you can get it. I mean, I saw it on like Shop2 or something for like 23 quid. And someone's like, well, if it was 20 quid, I would have given her, you know, this score. But because it's 30 quid, I would have given her this score. And I was like, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I just think, I don't care. Like, if I want to play something, I don't really care how much it's going to be. I'm just going to pay for it. Like,
I don't know.
Do you have to review it for poor people?
Wow.
No, we didn't mention Stealth Podcast.
I'm very poor,
Gavin
by the way.
starts his new podcast, a gaming savant.
No, I mean, I'm really poor, but like at the same time, like if I really want to play something, I don't really care how much
I
it costs.
kind of feel like
it.
my feeling with this one is it's a bit exploitative of fans, because Metal Gear is a series that used to be incredible and maybe will be incredible again.
I
love it. Like I
think
they can
you've
do
chosen
it
your word badly there, because Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of the most incredible games I've played.
Really?
But
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it a good game, but it's incredible as a
experience.
yeah. Like, you don't enjoy it. It's like a
I definitely enjoyed it.
I enjoyed parts of it. My feelings are complicated.
To be honest, I didn't get that far with it. I played it for a few hours and my feelings were complicated. It was interesting. But I don't know. I just feel like I know that they do a roaring trade with like, you know, toys and posters and merch and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, I don't know. And I'm also it's a combination of that in terms of them going, are they sort of knowing that because people will pay 30 quid for it, that they can get away with it?
Well, there's a strong.
I don't think they're trying to get away with anything. I don't think it's as cynical as that. Like, I think that it was like the Polygon review, like really wide of the mark. The Polygon review is just like, oh, like it's a very cynical release. I don't think it is. I don't think there's that. I'm
not sure Fox
it.
Productions can do Kojima Productions can do a cynical release. Yeah. I think they could do ones that are like poorly timed or sort of inexpertly.
Having said that, isn't it? Like Kojima just bloody left.
No, it wasn't.
Kojima.
Yeah,
was it somebody else?
No, it was Stephen Four. That's the guy who made Castlevania and stuff.
Cut it out! Cut that out! No, but it's the whole thing about length of a game, though, especially with this, is especially replay value. Because there was a game I played maybe at the start of this year called Consortium.
Okay. Oh yeah, I played that.
Yeah, and I mean, there was lots of things really heavily wrong with it, which was a shame because it had a cool idea. But so much of that game's value was hinged on replay value, playing it again, doing it differently. And
this is a bit of a weird one. Do you want to explain it to the people at home?
Yeah, okay, yes, really.
I've never heard of
crazy.
it. Yeah.
Basically, Consortium, the way it works is that you are literally controlling another human being, and obviously that's the nature of most video games, but in this one it was aware of it. So the idea was that you had used the software you'd used was not a video game, it was a software that let you log into a satellite, and this satellite would let you control a human in another period of time in the future in another universe.
Right.
And the idea that you playing as this man, the graphics are quite simple.
Yeah.
And that was explained as just being a visual representation of what he's seeing, which I thought was a really clever way of getting away with low graphics. But the idea was that also it accounted for multiple realities. So it was like, if somebody else loads this up and plays it, they'll be playing in a different reality.
Right.
So it was all designed around the idea that around the kind of daft belief that this was real.
Right.
And it kind of introduced it. And when anything you do in this game is affecting real people. These are real people you're meeting. The person you're controlling is real.
Yeah.
And it explained itself. It even had stuff within the plot and the canon that was like, if you load a game, you're creating a splinter reality and stuff. God. And it was even like there was even one of the things at one point said, if it all goes wrong, you could always save the game and reload. You could load an earlier game. As being like, but the idea that you'd be then leaving the game that you just left to their fate. And it was like an amazing idea.
Yeah.
But it was so full of bugs when it launched, and even actually after a major patch which supposedly fixed them, it was still like a mess.
That sounds really interesting.
It's fascinating, and it's a shame because the experience only lasted about 3 hours, and it did feel a bit premature when it ended because it felt like I was just warming up to it.
I will just jump in here and say that it sort of takes place on what is essentially a 747 flying around the world, and it's kind of a Mass Effect type thing. It's a very small area with a lot of NPCs on it.
Yeah.
And you are a sort of day after tomorrow super soldier, and this plane essentially gets hijacked on its way. So it again is them doing a lot with a little, because they only essentially make about 24 rooms in the whole game.
Yeah.
But then, but it's actually really claustrophobic. And then the thing I remember with dialogue options were, because it really drops you into this character with no idea what's going on. Someone comes into your room and says, "Hello, Rook," and then you realise that everyone's named after chess pieces. It's like a Doctor Who episode.
It is actually a lot like a Doctor Who
Just
episode.
sort of really low budget, very sort of
Doctor Who combined with Quantum Leap.
Yeah, yes, God, yes.
What are we going to do to jump, Ziggy?
But the thing where your character, like, if a character says to you, like, how are you feeling, Rook? And you go, "What is Rook?" The character will go,
You're
why
right,
don't
yeah.
you know that? Which is, so it kind of coaxed you as the player into guessing about your environment.
Yeah, and I love that to begin with, because I was like, I've no idea what's going on, but I love the fact that you always have the opportunity at any point when people say, "How are you doing?" And you go, actually, yeah, I'm not this person. I'm another person from another universe.
The poor script writers having to write responses to all of those.
Well, because people respond in really different ways. There's like a couple of people who believe you, but a lot of people, if you get to a point where, like, at one point you can keep pushing it and saying, no, I'm sitting at a computer in another reality and controlling this person. And this person says to you, "Now listen, I want you to think very carefully about what you say next. Like, who are you?"
Yeah.
And then you're like, you're just like, do I carry on and go, "No, seriously."
Yeah.
But it's funny because it means it's a game where you are actually physically playing yourself. You are the person at the computer.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
an awesome idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it's one of these things where, with an open environment, because it is different. You say, you're all on a plane on this. You're all on this one area. Maybe with Ground Zero is having this scope of freedom to replay it and explore different physical areas. Because in this, the exploration was all about the narrative. It was like, if you play it again and do everything differently, the outcome will be vastly different.
Yeah.
But I just had no urge to do that, and I never do. I remember in like Mass Effect and stuff, it's like, "Oh, you can play it again, do it differently." It's like, I kind of feel with narrative, it's like I'm attached to my decisions.
Your one playthrough, yeah. I got that in Mass Effect all the time, where I'd make a decision and could not go back. It's like during the suicide mission of Mass Effect 2, I was never going to replay that. And I got really angry when I found out people did. It's like, you go through that.
Yeah, same.
You go through the suicide
furious.
mission, you make mistakes, people die. That's the entire point of the game. It's about consequence. And the fact that gamers go, "Oh, well, I don't want to lose anyone." No! Have you not been listening for 40 hours? People are going to die.
I actually had an interview when I was out to see the guys at BioWare, and I said to them, I was like, "Do you not feel like you dropped the ball in Mass Effect 2 by having an achievement worth 75G that was getting everybody alive through the mission at the end of 2? Because it means that anyone who even vaguely cares about achievements will deem that to be the best way to do it, the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And it means that loads of people starting Mass Effect 3 will do so with all the characters having survived. So they're writing all of these things for Mass Effect 3. They're writing all of these, this is what happens if this person's dead or whatever. And a lot of the people who play it, who are going to carry over their save, saved everyone.
To be fair, the coolest missions are related to past
I know, but that's what annoys me, because it's almost
right.
like, I don't know, they're just sometimes, I mean, I guess the best example is Dragon Age, which is very much like, apparently Dragon Age 2 is sort of choose your own sex adventure.
No, Dragon Age 1 had a lot of sex, dude.
No, but I think in 2 it was like, wasn't it like they were like much more kind of sexually flexible characters? It was sort of like,
this is like my favorite thing to talk about ever. But when I'm selling
Sexually flexibility.
yeah, when I literally yes, when I'm trying to sell pen and paper role playing games to people, I say, imagine a BioWare RPG where you could have sex with anything.
Yeah.
Not anyone, anything.
In my head, I'm imagining like when you said selling. Door-to-door salesman, like knocking on the door. You met your husband home.
It's a tough time to shut up and sit down. Would you
I'd like to talk to you about having sex with plants. or cars, whatever you like.
Anything, look.
Draw your picture.
Write shit down.
Are there any I'm trying to think if there are any plant characters in Mass Effect.
No, I mean, the blue dudes look a bit, what they call the bloody...
Oh, in Farscape.
Yeah, no, I can't remember that. Anyway, I kind of liked it. I liked it in Mass Effect 3 when they had the balls to have the lesbian character who you couldn't turn. Because that's just like, good. Yeah. Like to have somebody going, "No, actually, sorry, mate, I'm gay." Yeah. And then not having, but if I choose the right combination of dialogue options, she'll be like, "Oh, all right then."
In my hat.
As your Commander Shepard, I'll completely change my...
Even though I've spent like the week defending like Ground Zeroes, like I was just thinking now, like even though I absolutely love like Metal Gear Solid 4, I only played that through the once, and I don't think I'm ever going to play
My
that
concern
through.
about it though, right, is that and this is why I think sometimes it gets a bit blinkered, is I don't know, maybe I play it a few times and think that was good, but I think we do lose sight of value. And I think also a lot of people are going to go into a shop and see on a shelf Metal Gear. Are they going to have a label on it in game saying warning, this game is, I mean, I'm assuming people behind the counters, if they know about games, will say, you do know this game's only like a couple of hours long.
But that's not a fault with the game. That's just unfortunate marketing to do with Metal Gear Solid games in the past all being 40 hours and this being 1 hour.
I guess so, but it's like, it still feels a bit harsh, because I reckon there will be people who will go, oh, a new Metal Gear Solid thing, and I mean, in a way, it's good for us, though, because it means people will be like, well, I'm going to fucking
read reviews
and listen to podcasts next time.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually like the direction the games industry is going, where, you know, now indie games are sort of getting more economically viable, that we're getting really great games that are short, you know, like sort of, I don't know, Gone Home, Papers, Please, two brilliant games.
I think price is the issue here, really. I mean, I think maybe 20 quid.
Well, I tell you what, the most contentious thing I've had to deal with recently was when I reviewed Nidhogg, because Nidhogg is, I think, 10, 15 pounds?
It's too much.
I'm not a Nidhogg fan.
Do you not like it?
I
Do you
liked
like
I liked it, but I just like I like playing it for about an hour with someone, and then like in a group of people drinking. It's brilliant. Can't play by yourself. Can't play it online.
You can play it by yourself?
No, I was in like you can't. It's not a fun game. By yourself.
I kind of like fighting the
I could
AI,
never really
but-
get online with it. It's not as fun.
No,
Like,
it's not. But what do you like, sort of the all the wave of like Towerfall or something?
yeah,
like
like we play that quite a lot in the office and stuff like that. But I mean, we're obviously in a completely different bubble of other people and stuff. But I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
That's
But
fun.
then, like 15. That's the thing. I hate getting bogged down in price issues and shit like that, because I just think I don't really care.
I am
if
kind of
really
I'm kind of into the idea of developers. It's indie developers really. Like I don't like us sort of saying that AAA games, you know, need to provide this many hours, because it makes it harder for indie devs to sell at the price they want.
I agree.
Yeah.
But then also, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, lots of people are saying the experience is great, but at the same time, I've seen people saying, people saying that it's quick to complete. Well, I've only completed like 15% of the game. It's like, well, fuck that. Fuck fucking completion percentages. I've had games where, like, I think I remember my worst one is the JRPG Blue Dragon, where I was like, I played it for 60 hours and realised I got like 15 achievements out of 1,000, like 15 points. I was like, what the fuck? Like, and it was just like, you can play this forever, but I don't want to.
No.
I don't know. It's difficult.
Very few games that I want to play forever. Hotline Miami, maybe. Like, that's a game that I play every single
Well, this is the
week
problem, is now
without
I think
fail.
it used to be that we used to go, indie games, please play indie games. But now, like, with the help of stuff like the PS4, just whacking them all on there, they're becoming so much more available and so much more known by people. Like, it's not like you having to go, you got to play this game. And they go, great, sounds good. How do I do it? And you go, well, install Steam. And they go, what's Steam? And they go, you've got a PC. And they go, I don't really have a PC. And it's like,
now it's like, it's £3 on Vita, mate. Go get it.
Precisely. Now it's like, you've got the console, spend the money. And I guess the problem is, it's like, sure, people are saying, is it worth 30 quid for like what you might only play 3 hours? But it's like, in my mind, still in a bit of a recession here. You know, global recession. You could buy 6 games for that for 30 quid.
Yeah, that's fair point.
And it's like, I think it's difficult, because it's like, I don't like to think of it too much as a buyer's guide, but I sort of think like, really? It's quite a lot of money. If it had been something like 30 quid, but you get like 15 quid off the next Metal Gear Solid game, then that might have been, I don't know.
That's a good point, actually.
It's a lot of money.
That's a good thing, but I don't think they would do that because they're trying to make money.
I know,
thing.
and I get that, but it just feels a bit much.
You know what? I do think that, you know, like every AAA game is like really struggling right now, and I do think that this is it's not a cynical marketing like thing, like sort of just the costs of development. They're just not going to recoup it with MGS5. No way they're going to recoup it unless they essentially sell it twice.
I think what was that
which is exactly, by the way, what StarCraft 2 did.
Yeah.
Because there's no way Blizzard were going to recoup those costs, so they broke StarCraft 2 into 3 parts and then sold it to everybody 3 times. Well,
yeah, they did. And I heard rumours that, they're just stupid stuff with that. They're just shifting it around to try and make it make more sense. They were like, it's all right, we haven't spent that much money on it. And then going, oh God, it's so expensive. It's funny, actually, one of the things I've been playing this week is Heroes of the Storm, which is the new Blizzard MOBA. But they're being really funny about it. They're like, it's not a MOBA. It's an online hero brawler. It's like, well, what's that, mate? It's kind of really pathetic in a way because they've been like, no, it's not MOBA. We don't like the term MOBA. It's like, no one likes the term MOBA. We're stuck with it. I mean, for those of you not familiar, basically what happened was, this is kind of an interesting long story, but I'll tell it really shortly. Warcraft 3, classic Blizzard game, really open to modding. People used to mod the fact that in Warcraft 3 you could play as a hero character, and that was part of the story. Was you had these heroes who were these big characters with special skills, and they usually have 3 or 4 skills, and they were in the campaign. People started to use the modding to basically make little mini RPG games with the heroes.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, you just focus on just controlling one hero and going around. Then, after a while, somebody made a mod which was basically like all the heroes, but then the heroes against each other. And they started to use models from Warcraft 3 to make new heroes and invent new skills.
Okay.
And then that was Defense of the Ancients,
Yeah.
which became a hugely popular game, to the fact that Bass Hunter made a bloody pop song about it. Although irritatingly, he's since re-recorded that pop song with lyrics about being at a party and girls in bikinis.
Really?
Fucking sellout.
Wow.
He should have kept it with we're all
Bass
playing
Hunter.
Dota and stomping. He's completely forgotten about the fact he used to be a geek, which is a bit lame.
Well, so back in the day when I was writing about
Bass Hunter.
Dota, when I was following around Bass Hunter on tour, and we used to play a lot. No, the thing that I always found really interesting about Dota and the sort of the origin of the MOBA genre is all the sort of big publishers now want MOBA because it's this huge, massive online piece thing, and yet fundamentally the MOBA is not something that could have been created by a commercial game studio because it's such a sort of backward concept that it just couldn't be made. It had to develop organically out of a mod, like Counter-Strike.
And it did, and that's the thing is Dota 2 came out last year, and I only started playing it about a year ago. But it's like it's the result of 9 years of public play and tweaking and having
That's
very
awesome.
smart minds,
Terrifying.
but also people playing it constantly. And some of the stuff it used to be like as well. I've got friends who've been playing it since Warcraft 3, and they just say mental things like. One of my favourite ones is one of the characters called Phantom Assassin. My mate I play with is like, oh yeah, in the original Dota, like her character model wasn't visible, and I'm like, what? And it's like, yeah, because the idea was that she was just like this shadow, and so in the game she was just a shadow, which meant it was just like a slight like blotch of black on the floor,
Jesus.
and you just wouldn't be able to see her. And I was like, what? Like, so you'd just be like, if you weren't careful, then a shadow would just creep up next to you and you'd be dead. And it's like, that's mental. Like, that's actually mental. So now they've obviously crafted it in something which I think is really good. But it's this thing of, and then League of Legends was some of the guys who made Dota went off to make League of Legends. They kind of simplified it a bit. But then they tried to use the term MOBA, and that's why lots of people don't like the term MOBA. Because they're like, no, it's not MOBA, it's Dota. And it doesn't really fucking matter anymore, because the thing is, it's a big thing. We need a name for it. That's the name. But what's weird about Heroes of the Storm is the fact that it uses so much MOBA stuff. It's like,
Well, it is a MOBA. I mean, I can't believe you're buying into their branding. You're
Well,
like,
I'm not buying
I don't
into it.
understand. It is a MOBA, but they're telling me it isn't. So,
But someone who's into MOBA games, are you frustrated when you play then? You're just like, just call it a MOBA.
no, I wish
Embrace
they-
what you are.
I wish they had the balls to just do more, because what they've done is they've changed it a lot, and they've changed it so that basically the characters don't matter as much. Like you basically, it's got loads of Blizzard characters like Jim Raynor and dwarves,
so is it really? This is why
All the big names.
all the dwarves. Sorry, no, what were you saying?
Oh no! So it's really just it's all the popular Blizzard characters, like that guy from Diablo.
Diablo.
Is
yeah.
Diablo actually in it?
He's actually in it.
Right. What about Barbarian?
Yeah,
Like,
Barbarian.
It sounds
is
like-
I'm taking the piss.
yeah,
now,
I know.
really.
But one of the characters is literally called Barbarian. It's a lady barbarian.
It sounds a lot like the champions in like League of Legends, like that kind of wave. Like,
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of made it, and that's the thing is they've got the same system. So if you want to, every week there's like there's 6 characters in circulation that are free.
Okay.
But there's a total of like 23 characters at the moment, and it's like if you want one permanently, you can play at any point. You have to buy it.
Yeah, that's what League of Legends does.
That's
right?
what League of
Yeah,
Legends
yeah,
does. And they get around some nice stuff, like, but then that's the thing is it basically means you can buy a character because you like what they look like, and they're not too vastly different. There are some of them that are clearly more like, yeah, if you're a skillful player, you want to play one of these ones.
Okay,
but it's not.
Is it good? Is it good?
It's all right. It's,
Okay, see, that's all you need to say. It's fine.
This is the thing.
It's not very good.
It's just. But the thing is, I
You're
felt,
obviously interested in it though. There's obviously something about it that interests you.
Because he's played 1,400 hours of Dota 2.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not 1,000.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, it's only about 900 at the moment. It's fine.
Oh wow, you're a part-timer.
I am part time. But it's just odd because they've added all this crazy new shit, but they've still got like the towers and little men, and it's like it just feels a bit messy. And it's really weird playing a Blizzard game that feels messy. That's just so weird. It's like, because every Blizzard game I've ever played has felt more finished than most games ever are.
Does it feel like having Blizzard's branding rammed down your throat, or is it actually like charming the way they've crossed
No, it's really charming the way they've done it. Because there's a bit at the start where Jim Raynor is in the tutorial, and he's like the main guy, Space Marine from StarCraft 2, if you don't know who he is. And Diablo turns and says, I will feast on your terror. And Jim's like, now listen, like, you can't eat terror. It's an emotion. Right. And there's lots of like kind of back and forth taking the piss. So it is light-hearted. But
Sounds like something I would play the shit out of if it was on iPad.
Yeah. Right, I'll give him a call.
Yeah. Get it on the Vita. Get it free on PlayStation Plus. I'm going to be all over it.
It's just odd because it's like, it's good that it's there. And it's good that it's out there. But it's one of these weird things where it's like, I don't know what I expected. You hit the nail on the head before. It's like, it's not, you can't make MOBAs. Everyone now is trying to make a MOBA.
Which is fundamentally at this evolutionary dead end that like, you know what I did like was Bloodline Champions actually. Which was, did you play that one?
Which one there?
There was a Swedish studio that I had to review for Eurogamer. Back when League of Legends was just taking off, it was a Swedish studio that had a really good idea for a MOBA, which was just team fights. It's just a team fight thing. Like, literally, the most popular mode is 5 heroes each spawn. Like, in the big exciting thing in Dota is when the heroes stop, you know, like farming and being in lanes and all that stuff, and they actually have a fight, like 3v3 or 5v5. Bloodlines Champions, a match begins, you all run into arena and fight.
Awesome.
It's over in 45 seconds, you go again, and it's best of 3.
That sounds fun.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, those guys were sort of like, you know,
They've tried to do that in this. Basically, have these map objectives, and every map is different. But it's weird because it's like you start and you're doing your traditional stuff, and then it's like, oh, you've got to go and do this, and it's literally like the idea of just everyone drops everything, and everyone just like stop it. It's like being the Crystal Maze. It's like,
that would stress me out if I was playing that.
It's just weird, and it's like. But
Dota is weird. If anything was going to actually beat Dota or League of Legends, more importantly, at their own games, it was going to be something different, something weird.
I'm glad they've made it different as well, because it's like, I will have a go on it because it's different enough. If it was just the same, it'd be like, well, I've made my bed, thanks. But you know, it's not even personal. It's like, I never understand why people who like League of Legends have a go at Dota players or vice versa. It's just like, they're so similar, it doesn't matter. You just choose which one you like the most. Yeah. And that's it. Done. But I think it's odd because I found myself
more importantly,
like,
choose which one your friends are playing, right?
Yeah, that's more important, to be honest. But I don't know. I mean, I did a write up for it, and it's sort of like I don't know. It's odd. It's like I kind of didn't like it that much, but I was like, hey, at least Blizzard have got the balls to get it out there, because it's like this is going to take years before it's good.
Yeah,
and like maybe people will be like, no, it's fun now, but it's like, nah, it's not that good.
Can we talk about something that came out yesterday that is amazing?
Do it.
I've been playing Luftrausers.
Oh, it's awesome, isn't it?
It is unbelievably good. Yeah. It's upsettingly good. I'm playing it on PC, and for anyone who's not aware, this is a game from Vlambeer with Devolver involved somehow, makers of Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did.
Put it out, I guess.
Okay. What? Devolver are the publishers of Hotline Miami. They published it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they published it. So all Luftrausers is did you play it back when it was a Flash game or anything?
I never played it when it was a Flash game. I wasn't even aware.
Oh no, it was back. It was back in the day, man.
Played it
when
at
they were putting
E3 for about 2 minutes, and I didn't know how to play it, and there was no one there demoing it. So I was just like, I don't know.
Well, there are 4 buttons. So you failed as a games journalist in this circumstance.
It's classic, like Devolver, like involvement. Like the soundtrack is awesome. Like I think that must be their involvement. Just gone.
I did an interview with Cactus, and he said that the Hotline Miami soundtrack being so good was because he's involved in he is a Gothenburg hipster. No, they're both in Gothenburg, but the Hotline Miami soundtrack is just his friends and people he knows from MySpace, and he pinged them all and was like, hey, do you want to make a song? That's exactly what Cactus sounds like and they gave him music. But clearly Devolver know that being hip and cool is a thing.
Exactly, yeah.
All of Luftrausers is you press up, you launch your sort of Luftwaffe style plane out of a submarine, you try and survive. And the reason it works is you can stay still, at which point you can pivot your plane and shoot really well, but you're going to get hit by the bullet hell around you. You can move, at which point you can't hit anything, and also you're still trying to dodge bullets. But if you can only recover health when you're not shooting. So it's trying to create a blend of staying still and killing things, flying away and not shooting. And that's which means the entire game is push your luck because it's like
stay a bit longer.
Yeah, exactly, because there's a battleship below you and you're shooting, and then you just leave it a split second too long to turn and bank away, and you explode. And tell you what, the last week, my girlfriend's been out the flat, and I haven't even noticed because I've been talking to myself so much because of Luftrausers and Dark Souls 2. Which are apparently both games where I just talk to myself incessantly. Just go, no, yeah, And
I had my first actual outburst today. I'm playing Dark Souls 2 really slowly. And actually, it's kind of sweet because lots of people who follow me on Twitter keep saying, oh, you'll love this thing about this in Dark Souls 2, and tweeting links at me, and I'm like, please stop it. Because I haven't seen any of this stuff. Someone's like, oh, look, they found out what this is. I'm like, I haven't even seen that before. Like, what? Shut up. But yeah, I've basically just got to.
you can. I don't think Gav cares, and I think I'm past you.
Do not care.
So you can just say it.
Okay, well, it sort of feels like. I'll tell you what. I won't spoil the bit because it's kind of a nice surprise. But it was after, because I told you about how I was fighting the Dragon Rider, and you corrected me because I was like, oh, the Dragon Knight or something. You were like, no, the Dragon Rider. And now I know why you were correcting me. It's because on the other side of this place is the bloody Dragon Lancer or Dragon
Killer? Dragon Slayer.
That was an amazing touch just because it was a callback and it scared me for that reason, which I thought was very clever. I won't go into any more detail because I don't want to spoil things. But beneath that area, after I went on, there was then this sort of stalactite cave and a bonfire.
Yeah.
And then I went through and there was, I don't want to spoil the tone because it was like a lovely surprise for me, but I came out the other end and it was just this open area with a kind of theme of stuff that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it reminded me of... Okay, so this is the thing I did want to talk about tonight, actually. So there's a thing that disappointed me about Dark Souls versus Demon Souls. Sorry, Gav.
It's fine. This is good for because I did see one of the questions on Twitter was just like, if I haven't played Dark Souls, will I be able to listen to Daft Souls? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's just a funny name. Like, I couldn't give less of a shit about Dark Souls.
Heathen!
So here's the thing I liked about Demon Souls, right? It was... and the reason it's still my favourite, probably, is that it was so colourful. Like, the definitive moments in Demon Souls for me are when you emerge in the Storm of Souls and manta rays are flying through the air. And not just manta rays, but you look at them and you go, wow, they're beautiful. And they shoot lightning at you. Yeah. And you go, fuck! And you can't kill them and you run away.
Right, I give more of a shit now.
Right, or like there's a moment,
it's like an aquarium from hell.
Well, there are 5 worlds, right? And you can go in each of the 5 worlds, and each of the 5 worlds has its own color palette, its own theme, and they really push that theme strongly. Like the Poison world is to date like my favorite thing in any Souls game.
Yeah, because you end up, especially what I liked about that was each little world in Demon Souls was like a self-contained story. To the point that the thing about Dark Souls, I enjoyed Dark Souls, but I kind of like didn't think there was a story, and I didn't care that there wasn't. And then I realised there was in retrospect. But when I was playing Demon Souls, it was like, especially that Poison area, when I got to the end of it and finished it,
and you find out why.
It was like, I wanted to know what was going on there. And I really was like, what's the story here? Because it ends with like quite a heartbreaking bit. And I was like, what the fuck what was that?
Yeah, I just like in that area, you go down to a lake and you're on the shores of the lake and it's pitch black and you realise, in a great bit of game design, it's pitch black and you have to go into the lake and navigate, even though it's black water, black sky. But then while you're standing on the shore, you think it's like shiny sand, and if you look at that texture closely, it's dead fish. Oh. And so all it is that, it's the poison lake, obviously, because it does poison damage. But also, if it's a poison lake, all the fish will be dead. Where would the fish go? Oh, they've all washed to the side. Oh. It's just great storytelling via a texture, and it's also a horrific moment if you're standing on it at the time.
Well, what is that?
It's great. And so, but meanwhile, Dark Souls, and what I'm disappointed to find out, Dark Souls 2 is forest, castle, dungeon, cave.
I was really disappointed with the start of it, and actually when I when I made a video preview about it, I didn't like that Forest of Giants at all. I thought it was really weak. But now I'm further in, I am enjoying it a lot more. And I was just going to say, the area that, the tone of which I won't spoil, it's like really pleasingly borrows a lot from Dragon's Dogma. And that's quite interesting, that it's like, hey, because Dragon's Dogma I liked because it was a bit like Dark Souls.
I like the area you're talking about. This is going to be so cryptic to our readers. Readers?
God, you've started the regular features thing, calling listeners readers.
God, it's as if I listen to regular features.
Corrupting other people's minds.
As if I'm not going to get into dirty. No, but the thing I like about the area you're talking about is that it felt lived in. And like you could see certain sort of rock formations and then see how they'd been built on, and which isn't a spot. No, I think I got away with that one.
Yeah, well, I just like the fact that there was a certain creature there where I had a moment where I kind of like, these creatures scared the shit out of me.
You're talking about the horrible ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you find a den of them, And it's,
Yeah, that was the thing. Is basically they're these creatures and they're horrible and they're quite horrible looking. But I wasn't afraid of them because I discovered the first time I met them that they were terrified of fire. And so I was like, huh. So I was just walking around with this torch, like basing them into a corner as they ran away looking terrified and just basically caved their skulls in. And I was like, these guys are so easy.
Yeah.
And then I found a den of them. And weirdly, when there was a lot of them,
they're not scared anymore.
they're not scared anymore.
I like that they all got a shared consciousness as well and just be like, right, you just caved my brother's head in.
Well, no, it was more the fact that they were like, well, they're kind of like temporarily a bit scared, but then they go, hang on a minute, there's
more of us."
5 of us, and there's only one of him. And then they started coming at me, and they murdered me so quickly.
Really?
But then I had this point, and the reason I say it's like Dragon's Dogma is there's enemies in this area that actually like kind of fire arrows at you, which isn't very effective. But then there's other enemies that throw jugs of oil at you.
Oh, that was great.
Which
yeah.
is like, that is straight out of Dragon's Dogma. It's like literally a mechanic in the game that's really cool. And I like, it shows that they've obviously played it and thought, hey, that's cool, we'll do
awesome,
that.
yeah.
You know what's beautiful about it is it's so great when games do stuff that requires no explanation, you know, just like the fact that nothing needs to tell you in it that,
Yeah.
these creatures are afraid of fire. Like for me, I didn't have a torch, but when I encountered the den of them, I noticed they wouldn't leave and they would sometimes they would leave their den into where it's lighter and then they'd
Yeah.
run back in. And like, there's nothing in the game that has to say that. Nothing in the game has to tell you that oil burns. you
Well, that's
know?
the thing is, I didn't even know it was oil. I was just like, this guy threw a thing at me and I was like, oh God, it's going to hit me. And it hits me. And I'm like, huh, that didn't do
My
anything.
legs are now
It didn't do
jet-black.
anything. It just smashed and didn't do anything. I was like, what a loser. And then put my shield up, carry
What
on
an
forward.
idiot.
This fire arrow hits my shield. The shield does nothing. I suddenly ignite and die. And I'm like, "Ah, it was oil. It was oil. And that was lovely. But it was this moment where I was like, I got to the den and I was like, no, it's a video game. Don't go into the den again because they fucked you up last time. It's a video game. They're too big to come through the door. So I'm just going to stand outside the door
Oh, wow. And then, yeah.
and let them get close.
You shouldn't spoil what happens next.
And then,
because that-
and let's just say like it didn't go well. But I know there was a couple of elements in that area that really borrowed from Dragon's Dogma. But that was the moment. That was a couple of moments on that bit where literally some stuff happened, and I just went, and it was just, it was horrible. But I'm actually, I kind of don't. I'm playing it slowly because I'm trying to do a Dark Souls diary at the moment.
Okay, right.
Because I know that lots of people are like, well, I really want to see you doing some stuff to do with it, but I'm not going to watch it because I want to spoil the game. So every day I'm recording
That
a
makes sense,
little
yeah.
bit and doing a bit of voiceover. Like, so hopefully when I've got to the point where I've got like maybe 10 days or something, I'll put it up as a thing. Just so I can sort of capture what I'm thinking about, but also like,
It's neat because that moment of exploration and plus it's just great to see. I remember watching Hypnotized a playthrough of the expansion of Dark Souls because the person playing it was good at Dark Souls, but it was his first time through.
Yeah.
And hearing people panic and have no idea what's going on, it's a thing.
But you know that something's going to happen.
Yeah, it's
like
great. It's like watching someone
weird
else go
dramatic
through a fun
irony of it,
house.
yeah.
I said, I'm not doing it live, which I worry will spoil some of it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, we'll see. It's more the fact that I just like the fact I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's me talking about things in retrospect, saying, I think this might be something to do with this. Maybe I've got to get over here and working things out, but then being like, no, I was wrong. But we'll see. We'll see how that comes along. Yeah. But I'm enjoying it. I don't know what I think of it yet, but it's going to take me a long time to get there, I think.
Well, we can all agree that it's great. It's a question of where it exists in the trilogy as opposed to whether it's a worthy successor for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. It's a lot of fun. And to be fair, they did say about how it's like, we want to make it less complicated. And it's like, I kind of like the fact that stuff now, like, it doesn't speak in riddles with the item descriptions.
No.
Like, I think there's the wolf ring. It was like, boosts counter in Dark Souls. And it's like, what does that exactly mean? And now it's just like, it just says, does more damage with counterattacks from, like,
But
standing
then there's
away.
another paragraph of like fluff, which is,
And it literally just being like, this is what it does.
Yeah.
Like, because you just get stuff in Dark Souls, and you're like, I don't understand what that sentence means. You still have stuff like poise.
Yeah.
It's like, what's poise? Is that French for fish?
That's the thing that I've been really liking. Like, have you played much of the South Park game?
No,
It's very, very flawed, but it's stupidly.
people have been telling me
entertaining.
it's really just entertaining from start to finish.
It's just like it just takes the piss out of video games in general, like, and leaving all like the sort of censorship bollocks like to one side. Like, it's just fun to play. Like, if you've ever played a video game in your life, like, there's a bit this isn't spoilers, but there's a bit where you're on like a UFO and you're walking around and you keep finding these audio logs, and they're just perfect because it's just such an amazing send up.
And
of
I'm guessing
audio
everyone
logs
going,
in
oh,
games.
everything's fine. Everything's and then being like, oh, there's some weird cough.
Yeah, well, it starts off and it's just like, oh, like about taking the piss, going, I don't know why I'm leaving this audio log. I probably should be trying to get off the ship. And then the next one you'd be like, well, maybe I should leave one more audio log so you know where to go. And like, I don't know, it's like a perfect send up of games, but at the same time, it's still a really, really entertaining game as well. But like in terms of like RPG style, it really takes the piss out of that. Like when you pick up like a new weapon, it'll have like something written, like it's perfectly written by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. So it's like, everything is so intricately written by them that even like the descriptions and things like that are
really like
brilliant.
really perfectly paced. And
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it's a brilliant game.
I'm looking forward to playing it,
Yeah.
It's funny because it is just supposed to be like a good 10 hours of entertainment and also a 10-hour RPG.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Like, I think Bravely Default is bloody brilliant,
Yeah.
but I just haven't finished it. I've got to the end
Yeah.
game and I'm like, I can do this. It's only going to take me another 5 hours or so. I can do this. But it's like, oh.
That's the thing, the pacing on South Park is just brilliant because you are contained in South Park for a lot of it. But like, so you can pretty much see the entire map. But the way that it controls how you move around the map and where you need to go and what you need to do, it's really, really clever. And like, if, you know, I saw a lot of people looking at it the first time and going, oh, it's really small, it's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But actually, no, it's not very small.
Small's good.
Yeah, exactly. I take that like linear and amazing over non-linear and bollocks.
People forget, like, I kind of did it as well when I was playing Bravely Default. I looked at the world map and said, oh, it's not that big, is it? And it's like, no, but there's going to get to a point where it's going to want you to, like, dot all over the fucking place. So actually, I'd rather have it small, so when I'm doing that, I'm not going to look at it and go, oh, I'll do it some other time, and never come back to it.
Well, this is the bizarre thing I had with GTA 5, because it's like, it's not too big, but at some point, the size of it just becomes irrelevant. It's like this. It's great when you find a mountain path that you can drive a quad bike up really fast or whatever, or driving a bicycle down a mountain. But just big stretches. I don't know. We're finally reaching the point, I think, where size is starting to become irrelevant as opposed to, because there was a period like where Skyrim probably was the last.
Skyrim's too fucking big.
Okay.
I mean, I played that for like 30 hours, and I looked at the map, and I'm like, I've only seen about half of this map, if that, like maybe a third.
It's the tipping point when you're a kid, or maybe it was back in the day, but when you start a game, you go, oh, "There's so much to explore."
That stresses me out now. Like before GTA 5 came out, like I was stressed for weeks before GTA 5 came out because I was just like, I took a week off work because I was like, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Like the way I play games is like 2 hours after work and like sometimes during, but like I was just stressed and I could feel my like heart like palpitating just looking like when they release like this is GTA 5's map, be like, oh, holy shit.
Don't want to do it. I have to do all of it.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like GTA 5 is massive, but manageably massive.
Yeah, it is. But like just even like you can fly a plane across it. Turns out those plane flying missions are really boring.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in the sky. You know what? Planes. I'm not done talking about Luftrauser.
Come back.
Yeah.
The thing about it as well is that you unlock modules. It's just the same. It's the same game every time, and you'll die in a minute. It's a not dying simulator, but then if you say like kill two you'll have a mission which is kill 2 battleships this round, which is impossible by the way. But then if you do it, you'll unlock new parts, and you can always build your ship out of a weapon, a body, and an engine. And God, so what was I flying? Like you fly in nonsense stuff like has less health but doesn't take damage from impacts, which means you can fly into stuff to destroy it. And then you put a laser on it, and then you put the engine in that means you can fly underwater, but you'll bob back out.
Yeah.
You smash through battleships.
Luftrausers is a game where you will fly into a battle, you'll drop a bomb on a battleship, follow the bomb, overtake the bomb as it's falling, fly through the battleship, bomb lands on the battleship and destroys it, and you come back out the water in the wreckage of the battleship.
That sounds cool.
It looks good as well, even though it's so lo-fi, but it's ridiculously impressive to watch, I think.
And it's like, I mean, you might not like Nidhogg, but people, it's so great to have a game where when you get good at it, or just even when you're by yourself, you just know that was awesome.
Yeah,
when you're snaking out of certain bullets, like bullet hell shooters, I never got into because you don't look good play. I mean, you can, but Luftrauser, it's like every bullet you dodge, you look like a badass.
That's right. Actually, I'd agree with that sense, that comparison to Nidhogg, actually, because like if you dodge someone's attack in Nidhogg, you look badass as fuck, and that's exactly the same with Luftrauser as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like with bullet hell. It's to look when the way you play it is you're not really dodging stuff. You're more just very slowly moving through an elaborate maze.
Yeah, you're not
It's
actually
just like
snaking
up
out
a
the
bit,
way.
left a bit, right a
Right.
bit. Because it's like you're not just ever reactively dodging anything. You're always going, oh fuck. And then you have to work out the exact path you need to take to get out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it's usually like 5 or 6 moves.
And the
Like-
funny thing, but of course, bullet hell shooters are meticulously made so that there is one way through those webs of bullets.
Yeah.
But with Luftrausers, it's all randomly placed enemies shooting randomly. So it's up to you to notice things. But just as well, the effect of gravity on it, where you'll fly vertically upwards with everything shooting up at you. And then you'll look at the web of bullets beneath you that's chasing you, which you can outrun slightly if you have the right engine. And you'll realize, hang on, you turn the engine off and you just fall like a stone through the bullets perfectly that you were running away from. Just before the water, you activate your engine again and snake off. And it's just... And
Sounds cool.
finally, the other thing I have to mention as a selling point, because I need everyone to go and buy this immediately.
Yeah.
Every module... I said you can build planes out of guns, bodies, and engines. Every part of the shape... Like, the gun affects the... I don't know exactly what it is, but the gun affects, like, say, the bass line of the music. And the body affects the, like the sort of treble. And then, so every song you play, the soundtrack is 3 parts.
Yeah.
So every possible one of the 120 different plane combinations leads to a different OST for the game.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
That's excites me more than all the other stuff.
Yeah, I think I put in our hangout the other day. I put the main track. In the hangout, and it's ridiculously badass. It's very very
Come
cool.
on, Vita now.
Yeah,
Get it on PC?
yeah, it's on PC.
It's really good.
PC as well.
It works
Yeah.
with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it on the PC
There you go.
computer.
So the best thing about it, if you go to the site as well, it goes before you have a go. This is the original one, so you can have a little go with the original Flash
Tiny
game
little
as well,
silly
yeah.
flash game. Yeah, it's great. But then you play it and go, no, I'm going to pay my £7.50.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a go on that. That sounds badass.
I'll tell you what though, here's the thing. I don't know if it's worth the money because a game of it is only about 30 seconds long. So I'm not sure.
Speedrun in 3 seconds.
Fly into the water immediately. Bullshit.
But then I guess it's like in stuff like that. I remember like having ridiculous arguments with people about Proteus and stuff, which I just genuinely loved. Like
Proteus is
hooking it up to like my giant TV in the house, like sat as close as I could to it.
I bought that for myself. I played for myself and I loved it, but I bought it for my mum for Christmas. And actually,
awesome.
I had a point where, and this seems to happen a lot at Christmas now, I go home and it's almost like I've been thinking about it all year and I have a game for each of my family.
Okay, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, because my family all play games a little bit, mainly because I've got them into them. But and then I sit, and because I don't have anything to play games on, I can't play
Yeah.
games. I just sit doing nothing. But I had my brother playing the Stanley Parable on his new laptop, and he was just loving that. It was blowing his mind. I had my dad playing XCOM Enemy Within.
Really?
That's
Upstairs.
awesome.
You've got a cool dad.
And, well, no, my dad only ever plays like Command and Conquer games. He used to love them.
Okay,
He used to
right,
play
yeah.
Red Alert. He loved the Commandos series. He's one of the only people I know who's completed all 3 Commandos games. Because
Wow.
fuck me, they got hard.
Yeah.
And he also likes Company of Heroes quite a bit. But XCOM, I got him into because I was just like, we used to play the original XCOM a little bit, and it was super hard, obviously, but we didn't get very far in it. But yeah, he loves the new XCOM. I knew he would. But so he was playing Enemy Within. My brother was playing Stanley Parable,
And
and
for
my
your
mum
mother,
was playing Proteus.
Proteus.
Because she loved. I bought a game for her that I hadn't played called Botanian.
Botanicular?
Yeah, and it was adorable because I think she
that?
thought
I don't
it's
know.
like it's kind of a really pretty point and click with
Okay.
kind of plant themes.
Is it made by the people who did Samorost?
Yes, Samurai. Is it Samurai?
Samaros? No, you're pretty right.
I don't know,
Samaros.
but yeah, those guys. So basically, it's like point and clicks where the puzzles are often abstract, but it's more about just enjoying the aesthetic of it,
Yeah.
being like, oh, this is lovely. But it's kind of adorable because she kept talking about that. I think she thought I'd played Botanicular, and
Okay.
I hadn't. I just looked at it and thought, that's
Flowers
for
and
her. She'll love that. And so she kept telling me, she's like, oh, I love the bit with the thing that glowed and did this. And I
Your
was like,
family's cool.
yeah, my family are pretty cool, but I loved her watching her playing Proteus and just watching her going, ooh, and I was like the funny things and just, but then it was almost a shame because she did enjoy it, but it reminded me how much of a disconnect I often have from actual what people who don't play games are like, is because I was like, she'll be fine, it's so easy, you don't have to do anything, but actually just the process of moving
And
and
looking.
looking,
Yeah.
just using the mouse to look and move. She couldn't do both at the same time. She was just, she'd move and then look, move and then look. And it was just like, I was kind of like, wow, yeah. Like I always think to myself, like, anyone can do that. But it's like, no. And she's been playing stuff like, she loves Plants vs. Zombies. They've got, my family have always
Plants.
Yeah.
He likes flowers and plants.
Wow. She loves plants.
You are gendering your mother pretty heavily there. Here's a nice game about plants.
She doesn't like the violent stuff. She likes.
Well, it's not like all video games are plants or violence. Like
Those are the two video games.
yeah, those are the two real genres. Fuck MOBAs.
Hey man, do you want to play plants or violence? They're both good.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just have a couple of quick questions to cap it off. So we've selected a couple from the internet page, and I have lost it.
It was
temporarily.
TweetDeck.
It was TweetDeck. I should briefly say before we end, though. Actually, I'm just going to say, super thanks to Mr. Simon Chong for making us the artwork for the podcast, and also thank you very much to Mr. Vitaly Zavadeska.
Vitaly
Zavadsky.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You guys made idiots of yourself trying to pronounce that name.
You have a go.
Super's alright for having a fucking stupid name, isn't it? Have a real name if you want us to pronounce it properly. Zavadsky. Vitaly Zavadsky.
I think that's how you say it, but we
Yeah.
might be wrong. But yeah, he did the intro theme and the
What a
outro.
fantastic intro.
He's brilliant.
awesome,
I asked him a special favour to do it for us, and he did because he's fucking awesome. Anyway, so questions.
Yeah, it was a thing when you played us that Quinn's went, fuck, nothing we do on this podcast is going to be as good as that.
No, it's not.
So first up from Christian, Mr. Fighting JC, which Dark Souls boss do you think you could take in a bar fight?
Oh, a question for me and Matt. Well, it's got to be. There are some really frail-looking ones. What about that guy in Dark Souls, which is made of bones? He's at the bottom of the catacombs, and he's like a big thing of skulls.
Pinwheel.
Pinwheel. That's it. He just kind of floats around.
Well, he's rubbish.
Yeah, if you punch him in the back of the head.
I love the fact that within the Dark Souls community, there is a fantastic running joke of whenever you see somebody new playing it, you convince them that Pinwheel is the hardest boss in the game. And so they then are so terrified of him that it just changes the experience completely when he's a piece of piss. I'm going to say, this is an obvious one, but it's Ceaseless Discharge, because in the bar fight scenario, all you have to do is run away from him and he just falls over and kills himself. Like, easy. On a similar vein, I don't know why people ask us questions like this. Stuart asks us, what's the biggest animal you could knock out in one punch? That's one for you, Gav. I think.
Man. Most dangerous animal of all.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Why do they think we're fighters?
I'm not a fighter.
I'm a fighter. I fight things all the time.
Why, what would you knock out with a punch?
I was saying to Gab before the podcast, I think man is selling yourself short and cows are heavier. If we're talking about like pound for pound, because the question is, what's the
Pound
biggest?
for pound.
You guys are missing the words here. Biggest animal. I'm just saying, right, if a cow did something that really upset me, I would go over there, I would just bam,
What's
back
a
of the
cow
head.
going to do that's going to really upset you?
Have you ever walked past a field that, well, you know those guys who like don't like the way you might look at them, right? Have you seen how cows look at you when you walking past?
I did have an experience recently, actually. I was on holiday with my girlfriend and I did really shit myself because we were walking through this field of cows and we were straight in the middle of it.
Where were you on holiday?
Dorset.
Okay.
Staying in my parents' little place. And yeah.
It's a nice place. Can you endorse it?
Oh.
Wow.
Terrible.
Gab's the
Real
real
joke.
winner of this question.
Real joke.
Halfway through this
You
field.
just justified our soundtrack, I think.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
That's where you get paid the big bucks. Yeah, halfway up this field, and I suddenly realised that we're not in a field of cows. We're in a field of bulls.
Oh, wow. Oh, that, because I was going to take the piss, but that is genuinely a spooky story.
It really scared me. We carried on quite slowly and carefully, but I was really frightened.
You went on the attack and just punched out three.
I just beat the shit out of as many as I could.
It's like first day of prison.
Show these guys boss. Otherwise they won't respect me. Paul Scott Canavan. He's a very talented artist, actually, that guy. He did awesome stuff.
This is a really good question, but I wish that I'd seen it before.
Before we came over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. He says, okay, a simple one. Stop, and it's a simple question, there's mine. Which two video games would you mash together, and what would the result be called? Well, I'm going to help out with this one,
Fantastic
actually,
question.
because I had an idea for a video game the other week. I don't know what the name would be, but I like the idea of having a cross between Harvest Moon and a kind of zombie survival sim.
Okay, yeah.
In the
So
idea,
you have to raise crops to feed a bunch of survivors.
no, what you do is the waves would come at night, and you'd have to like kill the zombies. But then you'd have to kill the zombies as quickly as you could at night, right? And then you have to use the rest of the night going around with wheelbarrows, collecting all the bodies, using the bodies of the zombies for fertilizers, because you couldn't let any of the survivors know that you were using zombie bodies to fertilize the crops. So then and then in the morning, everyone would get up and you'd have to do all the farming all day, but then you have to keep it a secret. And I'm guessing as the story would go on, things would go horribly wrong because of the fact that you were using zombie corpses for the crops. But that was an idea for a game I had that was quite weird and twisted.
Okay, I've got one that I was pretending to listen to you that entire time.
That's
but
what
actually,
you were thinking.
I was
Twice.
panicking and thinking, what about a cross between Cart Life and Hotline Miami? So you've got like an incredibly scary sort of like hallucinatory sort of 80s cocaine fueled world whereby, but you're not going around murdering people. You're just trying to like run a VHS rental shop or something. So like, but you just have really creepy walks home where you're just perennially high and you're just trying to get your job done.
Yeah.
You're achieving nothing but, sort of like survival and constant threat of death. I think that would be it would be all the cool stuff about Hotline Miami that makes it sexy, but also I would win like IGF and have like a lot of respect.
Yeah. See, I've always wanted to make like I remember playing Leisure Suit Larry when I was a kid.
Hang on, no.
No. But like, the thing that I loved about it, and I've never been able to get since, is like
Tit jokes?
No. Just I don't think like things I haven't got as well. Like the sort of dialogue things where you can unlock different things. And I had an idea for a hostage negotiator game where it was like all it was is like Leisure Suit Larry style dialogue things where you have to talk someone down.
There was a DS game. No. That is a better. Yeah. Right. You brought shame upon.
Leisure Suit Larry's better.
No, there was a DS game where you played a hostage negotiator.
Oh, okay.
Or a GBA game. Never played it. It was like a Japanese thing. I think. I don't even know if it got released.
It's kind of like Phoenix Wright in the sort of
exactly.
way,
The pitch for that was I had no idea what it's called, but it was Phoenix Wright for police
I
negotiators.
love Phoenix Wright. It's so unprofessional. It's like you're Jonathan Krieg and the police and
The most
you get
illegal
It's
guy.
ridiculous. It's like in the day you go and like look after your defendant in court, and the next day you go around talking directly to the police, visiting crime scenes, talking to witnesses. It was like, this is ridiculous.
Phoenix Wright, Press Layton versus Phoenix Wright, you'll absolutely love because a lot of the Phoenix Wright stuff is brilliant because all the stuff outside the courtroom, you're Professor Layton. All the stuff inside the courtroom, you're Phoenix Wright. It's fucking brilliant.
I didn't know this was being made.
It's out. It's possibly out.
Wow.
Is this for 3DS?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll pick that up.
It's brilliant.
That makes more sense because
Yeah.
I always felt like I was always expecting the bit in Phoenix Wright where somebody would come and arrest you for massive misconduct.
Yeah.
And the lawyer being like, dude, you're not supposed to investigate the crimes. You just defend them as best as you can in court.
Pack it in, Phoenix.
Did you play Human Revolution? Deus Ex Human
No, I
Revolution?
didn't. No.
It has some really great conversation where you're trying to talk people down. Where like how so often with games it's like here's the smart ass choice.
Yeah.
Here's this is the level headed choice. No, Deus Ex it was like you're a badass. Here are 3 entirely badass options. but one of them was
a lot of time for that.
no, it's so it was the first time it uses the system is a guy is holding a hostage and you have to try and save her and you can fail.
Okay.
And your options are first off you can try and appease him by saying like you're smarter than this. The police want you to kill her so that or like the person who hired you wants.
Okay, right. Yeah.
There's option number 2 is like try and essentially be a sort of like father figure and browbeat him and say you are an idiot. Let go of her because you're going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
And option number 3 is like I can't even remember. Try and distract him, but it's like. Any one of them, you're going to come through that scene looking like a badass.
Yeah, but somebody might die. Yeah. But,
and it's just so scary. Love
It's
that
a good game.
Love
It's a
that
great
game. Playing it through with the director's commentary.
I saw recently there was a Tumblr that popped up, which was just somebody taking screenshots of all of the ceilings in
I saw that today.
Oh my god!
And they're all beautiful.
The art design, and have you met the art designer?
Yeah,
because he's like really like good at interviews. They put him in every interview they can, clearly. But he's also just so good at his job.
He's a boss. He's one of the few people actually, and I often talk. If you've watched any of the stuff I do or anything, I often talk about how much I really don't like interviewing developers because often they just talk bollocks and they don't tell you anything interesting, and you go around in circles and realize you're wasting your life and wasting their life. But he is a massive exception actually. Every time I talk to him, he really gets art design, he really gets culture, he really gets game design. He's fucking cool. I'd love to see what he's doing next.
And he was the basis for Adam Jensen's face. He used to be a male model.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. Like
Yeah,
he's got
he's,
the whole package.
He's got it going on. And finally from Richard Pilot, where will we get it from?
Get what?
I'm
Like,
presuming he means
sex.
this podcast.
Where am I gonna get it from?
Why did your head go to sex?
Where am I gonna get it? Because I was thinking, where am I gonna get it from tonight?
Wow.
No.
I know you've been round my house 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, and you better put out on the second one.
I've made you dinner 2 nights in a row. I'm not putting out.
You made me dinner and you've given me this really nice hair product to take home with me.
Sure have. I feel like an Avon girl. Anyway, yeah. Well, I'm guessing if you already got this far, you've got this podcast.
Hang on, yeah, I was thinking
Somewhere.
this is really
Actually,
clever
this
of Matt that he's put a question at the end where we can tell people how to the question. No.
No, this doesn't make any sense. It made sense in my head when we were preparing the question.
Why don't you run through the options? Because maybe they've acquired it, but not in the most efficient way.
No, that's true. Okay, so I know this is going to be on SoundCloud. I know this will probably be on YouTube as well.
Okay.
Just because it's easy to do that. And I'm going to try and get on iTunes as well. I've realised that making podcasts is a pain in the dick in terms of getting them actually online. But chances are, by the time you listen to this, it will be both on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. But if you are listening to this and you do like it, then do us all a lovely favour, and at least even if you hate iTunes like me, just click on the iTunes link. That'll probably do something with the algorithms that will shoot us up the charts.
Yeah.
And if you have got iTunes, I just had to install it to make this into a podcast. Do give us a little review.
Yeah,
if you like it.
I stopped ages ago on every podcast I appear on trying to even understand the crazy iTunes.
Oh, no one understands it, but all that matters is if you like it.
I'll tell you what, though, the reviews work.
Really?
Shut Up and Sit Down beat Gardener's World last time I asked.
Fuck Gardener's World.
Exactly, we beat the shit out of Gardener's
Well,
World.
this is what we talked about on regular
Pansies.
feature podcast. Unfortunately, we didn't know how long we were doing regular features, so we all wrote joke reviews for regular features.
Oh, really?
Now they're the top ones when you go on fucking iTunes. So when you go on iTunes, the top 2 by Matt and Steve.
Yeah, we thought it'd be funny, but then we didn't realise that they'd stay
They
forever.
stay forever.
So,
Like,
yeah.
almost 3 years later,
can't
they're the
delete
top
them.
ones.
You can't get
Or
rid
we
of
could delete them actually, but it's funny anyway. So.
Anyway, we will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Daft Souls. It'll be me again and maybe some other people slightly. We don't know who's it going to be. Have to see who's free. But yeah, I've been joined by Quentin Smith.
Hello, and thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, and check out Shut Up and Sit Down if you like board games, or if you don't like board games, because board games are fucking awesome. And Mr. Gavin Murphy.
Hello, bye.
You got anything you want to plug?
No,
No?
I'm sick of plugging stuff. Like, I think it was today, like somebody said when I said, "Oh, I'm going to be on another podcast," and some friend who's not in the industry was like, "Oh, wicked, something else you can fucking whore out every week," and I was like, "Yeah."
And on that note, thank you.
Bye.
And goodbye.